Welcome, and we are here today with Julie Spaulding with Better Homes and Gardens, Kansas City Homes. How you doing, Julie?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
All right. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to give us some insight into what you're doing. I know you and I have talked about it a few times, but thought this would be interesting because we can kind of get a behind the scenes look at what Julie is currently doing to build her online presence. And there's different channels that you're using, but I think that that's an important topic as we move forward, in the coming years, is to have an online presence. Before we jump into that, why don't you give us a little background info and tell us where you're from originally, how long you've been in Kansas City, how you ended up here?
Okay, well, that's a long time. There's a lot to say. So I've been in Kansas City. I grew up in Iowa. I went to the University of Iowa. I moved down here a couple years after college. My mom grew up here and my grandfather still lived here. And so I've always liked Kansas City, and I have been here over 30 years. This is what I call home, but I still say I'm going up to Iowa, which is home as well. So two homes. And yeah. I am a teacher as far as my background, but I got into real estate about 10 years ago, and I just have really enjoyed it. I think I get to use my skills as a teacher, kind of like numbers, so it's worked out well for that. And I've just kind of slowly built my business over the last 10 years. I've always been with Better Homes and Gardens and been very happy there, and they have offered lots of training. So I've worked all over the metro area. I've been out to Green Valley and up to Kearney and Shawnee, DeSoto out that way. And of course, quite a few clients in Lewisburg. So I feel like I have the whole area, which is sometimes good, maybe sometimes bad. I don't have one specific area that I work in, but I do live in Overland Park. So I feel like a lot of my clients are in this area.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to, we were talking about this. I'm trying to remember when we first met. So I've got three daughters. Julie's got three daughters. So that's one thing we have in common. And so my middle and youngest lined up with your oldest and middle, basically going through school. So it probably started with Hannah and Mackenzie being in class together at some time. Hannah turns 26 next month. So we've known each other for a while, before you got into the real estate business. So
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of answered this, but was there anything specifically that attracted you to the real estate business?
I thought about that before. I don't have one particular thing that brought me to real estate. I was staying at home for several years before I started teaching online for a while as well. And I liked that flexibility. I felt like real estate would continue to give me some flexibility. The kids were in school. I was divorced at the time. And so it was just seemed like something that I could have some flexibility with and also make some money at.
Right. Yeah. What keeps you in it after 10 years? It's not the easy business that some people think it is when they're first looking at it. It looks really easy, but it's not. So yeah, what keeps you going? What keeps you in it?
Well, it's always something different. There's always something new. I really do love working with my clients. I love helping people find a house. I love helping people sell a house. I like the relationship after the transaction's over. So I like all of those parts. The inconsistency is probably one of my least favorite, but it also makes it interesting, right? There's just always new things that I can learn. I like the people that I work with. So a lot of positive things, but it's also, the hours are random and strange and sometimes not when you want to be working, but so you kind of got to get used to that, I think.
Okay, so let's jump right in. So the topic that we had talked about was how you're currently building your online presence. And again, we may veer off into some detours along the way, but let's talk a little bit about that. You've really kind of started focusing in on that just, within the last 6 months or a year?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Probably close to a year because I was making some little short videos through Keeping Current Matters last year, and then kind of moved to some long form videos at the beginning of the year.
Right. So what's your long-term goal with the videos that you're doing? Do you see a vision a year down the road or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years down the road?
in 10 years, I want to be retired. So that's my goal, right? I think long term, I think it's just a new way, a different way to really try to capture some more clients, a way to get my face out there with YouTube, which is what I've kind of dialed in on since the beginning of the year. My goal is to give myself a year to really get better at it and improve on that. And I'm not really quite 6 months in. I'm like 4.5 months in as far as really making videos, because it is a long-term game. So I think my goal, of course, is to attract some more clients and just kind of continue that, it's just a different way to bring clients in.
Right. And who's your target audience? Do you have a target audience?
Right now, I'm focusing on relocation, people that are moving to Kansas City. Those are what my YouTube videos are focusing on. And I have a nice relocation guide that I really like. And so right now, that's my focus. And because there are a lot of people that are moving to Kansas City still, and it's an easy way, I think, to make some videos, because it's easy to make videos about the city and about neighborhoods.
And I would think that people who are going to be relocating to Kansas City would be really likely to be online, doing some research on Kansas City. So probably a good chance they'll find you if they're searching for information.
Exactly. Yeah. And things are different in every state. Sometimes things are different in different cities, different MLSs. And so I think people want to know about the area they're moving to. I have some clients that are going to be moving here from Washington, and they don't have an opportunity to really come here and really look around beforehand. So this gives them some information. And I've done some videos just for them personally of neighborhoods and things like that.
You see, last year you created content and still do specifically for Instagram and Facebook, which is probably the shorter clips. And then now, since the first of the year, you've also been doing the longer form videos for YouTube. And then do you take some of the longer form videos and pull clips out of those to then repurpose for Instagram or Facebook?
I've done that a little bit. I just found a new app or a new kind of website that does that. It's called vidyo.ai. And it makes them so much easier to make it into, I have horizontal videos, and to make it into vertical videos. So that website's been very helpful to help me kind of transfer those over into more vertical videos. So I'm starting to, that repurposing thing, I haven't done as much of that as I could be doing.
And maybe we'll circle back to that, some tools that you use, because we've talked about a few tools that we both use as well. Mm-hmm. So what kind of content are you creating?
For YouTube, I'm primarily doing the horizontal videos that are a little bit more long form, and they right now are focusing on Kansas City. I'm always learning. My next group of videos are going to be a little bit more focused on neighborhoods, so that people are relocating here. They can look at a specific neighborhood. I've done things like on Overland Park and actually the city of Kansas City. I have one that's coming out this week or next week on Lee Summit. So different areas like that. Done one on Lenexa. I kind of started on the bigger, like Kansas City in general, and now I'm kind of coming down to cities, and then I'm booked to come down to neighborhoods and also some houses in there as well.
Oh, I think I saw one, lake communities, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was a fun one to do.
Yeah, well, that looked good. And so, what do you think the key is for making this work long term?
Well, there's a few things. I think consistency is super important. I mean, it's just important in everything, but being consistent. And for me, my consistency means posting a video every week. And then also my goal is to add a short for sure every week, if not more than once a week, whether it's repurposing the long form video or creating kind of a new one. I've had some fun with the green screen, which is in YouTube as well as Instagram. And so that's kind of been a fun feature. I did an airport one just the other day. I'd taken photos of the airport, and then I can video myself with the airport behind me, just talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I saw that one.
Yeah.
What's the name of your YouTube channel? Kansas City Homes?
The little @ sign is Julie Spaulding Casey.
Okay.
At Julie Spaulding Casey.
Okay. But it says when I looked at the,
Kansas City Homes.
yeah, Kansas City Homes, which that's
Yeah.
that's a great title. That's a good one. And then I saw your short, that one that you're talking about, because it showed up over on the side, and I think it had 400 or 500 views already on the short. So that's interesting where, a long video may have 20 views or 30 views or 60 views. And then, when you do those shorts though, for some reason, I think Facebook really pushes those out and puts them in
Right.
front of people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they want to compete with Instagram and TikTok on their shorts. And so they're giving those a little bit more airtime for sure. Yeah. And, just to be transparent, I'm still new to the whole YouTube game. And so in my mind, it's a bit of a long-term game. I still need probably 50 videos is kind of when things start picking up a little bit. But I've been to a conference on YouTube videos just for real estate. I listened to some people. There's really a lot of success, not just big people that you might know that are getting 100,000 subscribers and that kind of thing. This last week I was in Jacksonville, and again, just learning about YouTube video, other video options, and for just real estate. And I can look at somebody's channel and they're getting consistent clients that are relocating to their city or want to know somebody does just probate and that kind of stuff. These aren't like professional videos. They're just average people doing videos, but they do them consistently, and people start kind of following that. And when they call you, they feel like they know you. When I met the person, I went to, her name's Karen Carr, I went there, I felt like I knew her because I had watched all of her videos. So it's just kind of an interesting phenomenon. Like, we feel connected with them when you're watching video.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the power of video. And again, you and I when I was prepping for this, I went back because you and I did some videos. Again, we were cutting edge at the time.
That's
right
right.
now, yeah, right now, video's not cutting edge. It's a fundamental. Again, if you know me at all, I'm all about the basics. Just figure out what the fundamentals are in your whatever, in your life, in your health, in your work, in your relationships, and get good at those fundamentals, and that'll get you 80% of the way there. So dominate those fundamentals. Our first is a listing video, you introducing the home, and then we did basically the home tour. I think it was 8 years ago that we did that, which is crazy.
It was a while, yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, that was kind of new. Now you see a lot of that, but the point is that getting good at this and putting yourself out there, whether it is social media or YouTube or whatever, is becoming a fundamental in our business. And Jared and I talked about this yesterday, where this new generation of home buyers that's coming, that's where they get their info. You got your baby boomers, you got your Gen X, which I'm at the older end of Gen X, but you're in the more towards the middle. And then you got the millennials, which is a huge group of home buyers that are doing a lot of buying right now. And then behind them is Gen Z. And it's interesting, I saw some statistics recently that talks about where each of these groups gets their information and how they make their buying decisions. And really all of the generations now go online for research, but especially these younger generations, that's where they're highly influenced. TikTok, which that's a little too young for me so far. I probably need to figure it out.
Yeah, but you know what? It's at this conference, and I should have had those statistics ready, but the amount of people that are our age that are watching TikTok videos, in the hours that they spend on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, any social media is astounding. And as well as YouTube. I think those other platforms are really good, and I'm trying to do more Instagram stuff. What in my head, what I like about YouTube is that when people come to YouTube in general, they're looking for advice on something. So they're coming to me specifically because they kind of want to know about Kansas City. They're not just scrolling. They're coming there because they want to learn something, and they're okay watching maybe 5 to 8 to 10 minutes worth of content if it has some value and information that they need.
Right. And I go to YouTube for entertainment. I'm an 80s air bands fan. So if you look at my history, it's Bon Jovi and whatever. But yeah, I would think a lot of people go to YouTube as a research
Right.
resource versus entertainment. And so that's why I think it's important not to judge by the number of views. Like you were saying, you get 20 views, but they're 20 people who are interested in moving to Kansas City and they're researching neighborhoods or they're researching the area. You put other content out that's valuable for them. You don't need 10,000 views for that to be valuable and to pay off. But
Some people are using the different platforms to make money from the platforms, and I'm just using it more to introduce people to who I am, my personality, maybe how I do business, my city, and then they want to work with me. So it's a little different strategy than, some people want you to buy their gadget or something, and I want you to use me for a real estate agent.
and to circle back to what you said, people do feel like they know you, which is
Yeah.
which is interesting. We've talked about this before. It's like the weatherman or the newscaster that you watched on TV. For those of us that still watch TV, you see them and you've seen them for years and years, and you feel like you know them. And so you can have a similar outcome when people see your videos, because again, it's just different. They get a feel for you and they get to know your personality, like you said. So I think it's a great resource. I like the long form video just because it gives more of a look and about who you are and how you really operate.
For me, I'm a consumer of YouTube content. So that's kind of why I like that content. I consume it a lot in the car. And, if I'm watching Instagram or I'm on TikTok, then I'm usually in my mind kind of wasting my time, like scrolling through, it sucks me in. But YouTube, I'm listening to while I'm in the car. I feel like I'm doing two things at one time and killing two birds with one stone kind of thing. But I like consuming the other content. This is just my focus for right now.
Yeah. Are there any other pieces that kind of fall into this online presence other than, the social media or the YouTube videos?
Are you meaning like email text?
To me, an online presence it's all of those things. I worked hard a few years ago getting my Google reviews going. I'm
Right.
old and I used to have a notebook of, we think we called them testimonials at that time. You print it out so people could flip through when they were sitting in our office. But that's since shifted to online. And so that's one thing that I focused on that I think falls under online presence. And I'm a older Gen X. If I meet somebody or if somebody's recommended to me, I'm on Googling their name to see what comes up.
Yes. No, and you do a much better job of that than I do. That's a work in progress for me to get those reviews. But yeah, I Google everybody first to see what they have. So I do have a website that's up to date. I do have my Google business page that's up to date. I have my realtor.com page up to date. My Zillow page is up to date. So if somebody comes to find me, they're going to know that I'm working, I guess.
Right. So your last post wasn't 8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, is there anything as we kind of wrap up and we'll keep this short and sweet, but specifically because of this market, is there anything you're doing differently today than you were doing maybe a few years ago?
I feel like I'm doing more quick CRMs, just kind of how much their house is worth now, because it has gone up quite a bit. They don't know if they can trust the Zillow numbers. They don't know, if they should trust the tax document that they got. They know their house is worth more because they're paying more tax. But yeah, I think that I am trying to just make people aware and bring value to, so that they know kind of officially what sold in their neighborhood and how much their house is worth. So I'm doing a lot more of those than I did several years ago.
So that's providing value to your existing clients.
Yeah, for sure. I think they appreciate it.
Right.
We also participate in HomeBot, which I think is a great way to do that. Again, I think they want to know something specific to their neighborhood, like what houses have sold. So I think that brings a lot of value. That's my goal with everything.
Yeah, I think HomeBot's a really good tool that we could probably do a class just on HomeBot for the people
Yeah.
that aren't using it, and even the people that are using it, how to use it more effectively. That's probably, if not the best, one of the best tools that I've spent money on in the last 20 some years. So it really paid off and people really seem to like it and appreciate it. So question I like to ask is, knowing what you know now, if you could go back 10 years to when you were just getting started, is there anything that you do differently or maybe pay a little bit more attention to?
I think I should have learned a little bit more about marketing. I took a lot of classes as far as real estate and working with my clients, and I feel pretty competent in that area. I wish I would have learned a little bit more about marketing at the beginning, but there's so many things to learn. I'm a strong ninja selling proponent, and that's worked really well for me. So
Yeah.
I really felt like that was a good base, a good place for me to start.
Yeah.
So, and I think with video and stuff like that, you also need somebody like that you can follow online. You have to decide what you want to do, I think, with your video, what platform you want to be on.
Yeah.
And then find someone to learn from. Don't try to
Yeah.
figure it all out.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming and there's so many different things. So yeah, I think it's good to kind of decide what you want to accomplish, pick your path, and it may change over time, but
Definitely.
pick one and get started and go with it. If I could go back, I would invest more time and effort and money or whatever into staying connected with my clients. That's been a really valuable thing for me. And I didn't do a great job, but I did better than average. But I
Yeah, I
still,
think you do great. Yeah.
I still could have done better, and my business would be in an even better place today had I done a better job of staying connected to my clients. I want to go back and see where, say, my last 200 loans came from. My guess is that probably 80 to 85% were either repeat clients or referrals from repeat clients. So if I could give any advice to a new agent, it would be really, nurture those relationships. And video is one way to do that, again, because they're connected with you when they see those videos. So figure out a way to get your past clients involved and engaged with your videos as well. So
Right.
there's my unsolicited 2 cents. So
You're the host. You can say what you want.
I
But no,
guess
I
so.
agree with that. I think that's why we work well together. We have similar values in that we want to make sure that once the transaction's done, we're not done with them. I always try to tell them, you might be done, but we're not finished. I will be
Right.
with you for a few more years. So
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
And you, when you came back from your conference in Jacksonville, you said that you had adopted a new motto, right? You want
I
to share
do.
that?
Sure. It's be bold enough to suck at something new. So it's
Be
and
bold
and
enough to
I'm
say.
yeah. To suck at something new, because you're not going to just start making videos if you haven't made any and be good at it. It's just
Right,
that's just not how it works.
right. And that's life.
Right.
You're not going to be
Exactly.
good, unless you're just special. Most of us, no matter what it is, we're not going to be very good at it at the very beginning. But, if we stick with it and we're consistent and persevere, my goal is to one day look back at this interview and say, oh my gosh, that was so terrible. I'm so much better now. But you know what? Sometimes you
Well,
just got.
the Katie Lance, who I follow, I think does an amazing job with teaching all types of video and social media. Her motto is that done is better than perfect. And that's so true. Like in the whole scheme of things, just get it out there, start creating stuff and move forward.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's all I've got for now. You have anything else to add?
Nope, I don't think so. I could, if you want to email this out or something, I could be happy to send you some tools and some apps that I use and people that I feel like do a good job with different platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, when somebody decides to do it, then there's going to be a whole lot of details of how do I do this and how do I do that. So maybe that's a whole nother interview on some of the tools that you use and
Yeah.
what your process is once you're done hit with the record button. Now what happens to actually get it to YouTube or Instagram or Facebook? So yeah, maybe we'll do another interview on that. But thank you so much for your
You're welcome.
time today, and we'll do it again. I'd love to maybe do this as a series where we check in every 3 months or so with you and just see what's new, see how everything is going, because this is the long game, and people will find something that's valuable, which I think what you're doing is, and then, create content and can, be consistent and do it over the long haul. I have no doubt that it'll pay off.
Yeah, I'm confident it will pay off too. So I would love to come back and tell you some good success stories.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see you sometime soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye.